We believe at our core that literally homelessness could happen to anyone. It's not a failure of individuals. It's not people making bad choices. It's not even just as simple as not having enough money to afford housing, right? We believe that homelessness is a failure of communities.
We walk hand in hand with our families. We don't make them do certain things before we house them. We house them and then we walk them through whatever next steps they may need, whether it be mental health, job support, expungements for criminal histories, things of that nature, credit building. Anything that needs to be done, we show up. You have families who start off very untrusting and fearful, and by the time you have them housed and working and up and running, becoming successful in society, they're your family members.
Having spent time at Join, it quickly became apparent to me that Join was the only place I had ever encountered that was doing social work the way that, to me, it was meant to be done.
Join is on the front line, and Join has a design where they build bridges.
One of the things that has always drawn me to Join is that all of our sort of programming and evolution has been driven by what we're hearing from the community we're serving and what they need, right? So we started out as immersion, and then the folks that we had formed relationships with on the streets were like, look, we need people to come to us and meet us here. I can't go to an office. I need somebody to come here and work with me on my housing goals here. And so we started doing outreach. And then we were getting folks into housing and realized people had been outside for a really long time. They're in housing in a new part of town they're not familiar with, and they needed help navigating their new neighborhood, negotiating with their landlord, staying in housing, essentially, retaining their housing. So we started the retention program just as literally visiting people at their apartments, asking them how it was going, if there was anything we could help them out with, giving them rides places, that kind of thing. All that to say, at each stage that we have either taken an opportunity that we've been asked to take by the system, or built an opportunity because we noticed a service gap in the people that we were serving, that those evolutions and growth have been built on what we were learning from people experiencing homelessness through the relationships that we had with them.
Join just swept in and in the 11th hour and just saved me, put me in a hotel, and when I couldn't find anything, every time I felt like giving up, and almost did, even when I got into the apartment, there's been because I suffer from depression now and then, and it just seems like in the 11th hour you guys always swoop in. So
Join will go underneath bridges. They will eat meals with you. They'll meet you in your heartache. They'll walk with you through stuff. They'll walk with you. They're just there.
We're working with people who are experiencing homelessness. There are racial disparities on the streets. We know that racism exacerbates and causes homelessness for communities of color. So how can we really have an authentic solution to housing and homelessness if we're not addressing structural and systemic racism and also rooting out where we're complacent and locating ourselves in that work, right? So part of the, I think, evolution of our anti-racist commitments also comes from this tradition of us noticing, how can we better serve the people that we're serving, and listening to people about what they need from us. And what we know from people who have been doing anti-racist and racial equity work for way longer than we have is that this is not a hat that you put on and take off, right? And I think knowing that we can't be everything to everyone, we are a dominant cultural organization. At the organizational level, working towards anti-racism means partnering with, sharing resources with, lifting up the voices of our culturally specific partners. So those continue to evolve as well. And I think we've seen that in the pandemic also.
I still try to connect with my families by taking them out to eat, going to the park with them, grabbing the kiddos and taking them to get ice cream, things of that nature, or if they've had a good week in school, take them to Walmart and buy them a toy or something, something of that nature. If mom or dad has gotten a promotion at work or even has just gotten a job, let's go celebrate that. I try to show up in that fashion. So that's my way of building in the community.
I'm strong into my recovery. I'm growing emotionally. I'm growing in areas in my life that I never would have been able to grow in had it not been possible without Mike. And of course, you know, I have to give myself the credit for being willing to do that, but it was because of people that were like Mike that believed in me.
I feel seen and loved and with no judgment. Like, sometimes that's exactly what we need. And it just makes everything else easier and better.